okay, let's go back through this. And I was going through there, and it literally took him 10 or 15 minutes to pick, well, by George, I am. It's bizarre that people don't know what they have.
I found there's two kinds of people. One kind, this is about 10% of the population, they have a spreadsheet that gets updated every night with the balances of all
Oh,
their accounts,
hmm.
and they love it and they're really happy to do it. Then the rest of us, the normal folks, there's a box where the statements go. You may or may not open them because you
Yep.
don't want to know what it, you just would rather not. Okay, based on all the facts and circumstances, your portfolio, your income, how much can you spend
Hmm.
and how much should you spend?
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be looking at some really interesting data from Vanguard that shows that a lot of folks are retiring a little bit too late. And this is
Too late.
consistent with some of our experience as well. So this will be a fun one to talk through. For years, we've helped tons and tons of folks all across the country retire and do so in a way that they report feeling really confident about. And one of the biggest mistakes that we see, or opportunities for folks, is the fact that people could retire a lot sooner, but they don't, or they don't really make the most of their retirement, particularly in the early years. This is definitely something we want to talk through. So that's why we wanted to make this video today, to give you some ideas and help you become aware of this so that you can really make the most of your retirement.
Hmm.
We're going to uncover what we think are some of the biggest reasons people delay retirement and make them work a little bit longer. But we're also going to talk about how to actually assess your retirement readiness, figure out when you can retire, and have the flexibility to be able to do so on your terms. And we'll share a couple of the exact strategies that we use to help our clients retire in a way that they're comfortable with without sacrificing their lifestyle or without waiting longer than they need to. So
Sure.
let's get right into it.
Okay, let's go.
So what we wanted to base this video on was some data that Vanguard did in 2013. Really interesting study. We'll link it here in the show notes. But what they wanted to see was how prepared were people to replace their income with their portfolio based on their generation. So they looked at boomers, they looked at Gen X, millennials, and they wanted to see what percentage of their income on average could they replace.
Yeah.
And this was an interesting one to me
Hmm.
because usually they're not focused on this kind of stuff. And Vanguard, they have tons and tons of investors. And so this is an interesting thing to look at for them. But what really stuck out was the number of folks, particularly folks who were baby boomers, they could replace all of their income and more, but were still working.
Hmm.
And so that kind of made us think about this a little bit and go, why is that happening? And when we talked about it, there's two things in our opinion that
Hmm.
causes this. And I think one of these is better than the other, frankly. But
Okay.
we need to hone in on this. The first one is they don't know that they can retire. They've not done the work. They don't actually have an accurate sense of their situation. And I think probably most people that we talk to, this is where they sit.
I did a case, it's been quite a few years ago. Little old man from church, short little guy. He wore overalls all the time, little ball hat, and he was he was needing to get his estate plan done. I said, okay, bring in all your bank statements and everything. And he came in, sat down, and driving an old truck, and so I'm going through and just adding everything up. And I said, all right, so you've got $1.2 million. He's what? I said, you've got 1.2. He's, I'm not a millionaire. I said, well, okay, let's go back through this. And I was going through there, and it literally took him 10 or 15 minutes to pick, well, by George, I am. I've got $1 million. I said, yeah, you do. It just blew his mind.
And that
And he's out there working hard every day. And he was like, man, okay. It's bizarre that people don't know what they have.
And if you feel like maybe that's your situation, we're not beating up on you.
Yeah.
That's not the point. It's a silly example to show, it's not unusual. Most people don't think the way that we do
Uh,
about this stuff.
uh,
I found there's two kinds of people. One kind, this is about 10% of the population, they have a spreadsheet that gets updated every night with the balances of all
oh.
their accounts,
Mhm.
and they love it and they're really happy to do it. Then the rest of us, the normal folks, there's a box where the statements go. You may or may not open them because you
Yep.
don't want to know you just would rather not know.
Sure.
And somewhere in between is probably where we want to be. We want to track it, but we don't want to be compulsive
Obsessed.
about it in a way that it
Mhm.
we're wasting our time with it, right? And so one of the the big thing that I think is in my opinion, is causing folks to not retire when they could, is they just don't know that they can.
Hmm.
And the system now is so complex. It did not used to be this complex.
Hmm.
It just really didn't. People either had pensions or they had, they had money in the bank and they had some social security and that was it.
Sure.
Well, you had, pensions, you had IRAs, you had Roths, you had all of this different stuff, and it's as confusing as it's ever been. Oh, and by the way, when do you have to take RMDs? I don't know.
Oh,
Depends on your birthday. Depends on what our friends in Washington are doing this week.
yeah.
So there's more complexity now than ever, and I think what's happening is because of that, folks shy away from actually learning about it and figuring out where they're at. And so we don't want that to be you, okay? And so we can talk about that a little bit further. On the other side, I think, and if you had to err one way or the other, I think this is the way that you kind of err is that folks enjoy what they're doing. They enjoy work, and I think there's a lot to talk about here that's really good. But you still, even if you enjoy work, do it on your terms.
Hmm.
We see lots of folks who they'll retire and then transition to a little bit of consulting or part time or volunteering.
Hmm.
That's you really,
Hmm.
and so I think that's more a more positive
True.
thing. But figuring out when you can retire and how much income it's going to take you to retire and what accounts you're going to pull that from, it's a lot easier said than done
Sure.
for most folks. And so that's where beginning to work with a professional can help to solve some of that.
Well, and I know, I think we said this on every video, but I just want to make sure people understand if you think coming to us as your financial advisor, we're going to be like, oh, save, save, save. You got to save. Don't spend money. Don't transfer. Save, save, save. We're not that way. We focus on the end of life things. And a lot of
Hmm.
times you've got to flip that switch to say, I've saved enough. I'm going to enjoy this money for once.
Yeah.
Let's plan that vacation. Let's go see the grandkids. Let's take all the grandkids to Disney World. Let's do something fun.
Hmm.
And don't be afraid to call us thinking we're going to preach at you or scold you for not saving enough. Sometimes we're like, you've done well. Now let's figure out how to enjoy it.
How you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think the way that we look at it is not, how much should you still be saving? Emphasis on saving. It's more, okay, based on all the facts and circumstances, your portfolio, your income, how much can you spend?
Hmm.
And how much should you spend?
Yeah.
Those are the best conversations is, hey, you based on this, we have a software that shows your what we call your guardrails. So if your portfolio goes up here, this is what you could spend this year. If it goes down, okay, this is what you could spend. But having some guardrails makes it a little bit easier to navigate that.
Hmm.
And when you find out in your meeting with us, hey, you can spend $120,000 this year, boy, it changes the conversation
Sure.
you know and it's not even just it's like, okay, so where are we going to spend that?
Yeah.
That's a different kind of
That's a
conversation.
fun meeting.
Feeling permission to be able to enjoy retirement is, I think, what a lot of folks are missing in these
That couple
scenarios.
looks at each other and you just see the wheels turning. What's on our bucket list that we haven't done? We're not getting younger,
Yeah.
okay? And I've sat through way too many meetings where they saved and saved and saved, hoping for someday, and then something happens, a stroke, a injury, or something. It's like, nope,
Someday
not gonna
never
get to do it.
comes. Yeah,
Someday
those
never
are
comes.
those are heartbreaking. And if you don't learn anything else from us, figure out how to make someday today.
Yeah.
Now, as you can see, believing that you can properly retire based on just general guidance is really not an effective way to plan. And in a lot of cases, it can actually delay your retirement readiness. You can't really prepare for retirement without knowing where you stand today. And in our experience as financial planners, helping lots of folks get to and through this period of time, this retirement date, a lot of folks really don't know where they are, or they don't have a good sense of where they are. I would say in all of my time, I've probably had one person who knew exactly where they were.
Yeah.
And so, this is an opportunity. And someone I was talking to just the other day, they asked us to take a look at their situation because they were being told so many different things. They were hearing stuff on the news, they were hearing stuff from the financial gurus, and even their advisor was not giving them what we thought was accurate information. And they felt really overwhelmed with this. Oh, hey, your asset allocation is here, or you need this annuity here, or based on your age, you can't take as much risk, or you shouldn't spend this much. That you should delay your Social Security. Maybe you're hearing all of this stuff, and what we find to be true is that the quality of your advice, unfortunately, really is driven by how general it is. General advice can only get you so far. Personal advice, you can actually apply that to your situation.
Hmm.
And so that's what we're talking about a little bit. But when we went through the process, we actually ran the numbers, took a look at the situation. What we found was that most of the advice that they were giving was way off.
Completely.
And it's because it was generalized advice, and none of it actually made sense for where this client wanted to go and what their goals were. And I have to say, it's frustrating to see this because this is the stuff that keeps folks up at night. And the hard part is we can't turn back time.
Mm-mm.
And it's heartbreaking to talk with folks who we have missed opportunities that could have, strengthened their retirement earlier because they didn't fully understand where they were today. And so one of the ways that we want to help folks with this is we've put together a free a 2-minute questionnaire. Okay, what it does, you input a bit of information, your retirement status, some of your goals, and myself or Todd, we will personally create a quick response video, giving you some ideas and sharing kind of an outline of where you are, so you can understand a little bit more about what risks are impacting your retirement and how close you may be. So to get started, click that link below. We can't promise we'll solve all of your problems in that moment, but we'll help you to hone in and get a personalized idea of where you
Yeah.
are and where you should focus.
Yeah.
And I think that would really help. The other thing that I want to talk about here is that we see a lot of folks, when you don't have clarity about your situation, that's what really causes anxiety about whether you're saving enough. And so some folks, they will oversave in their years right before retirement because they don't have clarity about when they can retire. And they could have just retired and enjoyed it. So they're oversaving, they're, not enjoying their time that might be the most energy or the most, flexibility that they have in the rest of their life. So, not having clarity is what really can cause these feelings of
Right.
anxiety, and so get some clarity about this. And so what our process really does is it helps you to organize everything.
Hmm.
If you're the person who has the box, we can help you get it organized and figure out what do you have, how does it work, and what can you do with that. How do we put all the pieces together? Or if you're the person with the spreadsheet, you might be surprised that the tools that you have might work a little differently
Hmm.
than you think. Or we can go into the weeds on the numbers and how taxes work and what about IRMA and how some of these things go so that we can really accomplish your goals. And so
Yeah.
that's the first step, is figuring out where you are.
Hmm.
And then that empowers you to figure out what you can actually do.
Well, and we offer our clients a platform where you can put everything into it. You upload everything, and once you teach it or you can forward emails to it, it'll keep updating. And it's a way for us to put everything into one spot. I was just telling my wife, I honestly don't know where all my money is. And I've got to sit down and figure this out. It's hard. I am definitely that person on this end of the scale of saying, I really don't know what I have, but we've implemented this new program and we're going to start uploading everything so we can actually know what all we have.
Track it in a little bit
Hmm.
more, consistent way. And there's good guidelines and boundaries
Hmm.
for all of that, but I think that's one of the biggest reasons that folks don't get started, is because they don't know how to get organized.
Hmm.
And so we have tools to help you do that. We have a checklist of all the stuff that you should gather. We're happy to send that to you. We can even link it in the show notes. It's free. Take it. Get organized. But we should do a special episode on trustworthy and
Hmm.
how we use that. Maybe we'll do a case study on that. And we can demo for you trustworthy. We can show you how that works, which is one of the tools we use to get organized and to delegate access to this information to the professionals that you have. We encourage folks to build a team, and we help them to do that so that they can save time by not trying to do all of this themselves.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, there was someone that we met with just about a week and a half ago. She's single. Spouse is no longer in the picture, and they had done a really good job of saving, built up a great estate, I guess is the way that we
Hmm.
say it, and but really didn't have a huge hands-on approach to
Hmm.
it. Was more focused on the other stuff that was important, but now that it's just her, she's working through this process of figuring out how all the pieces fit together, getting organized. And what she found was the person that she was working with was the person that she worked with her spouse. And really, they didn't engage with her very much in that process. She didn't really understand how it worked, and she didn't have much of a voice in the process of setting the goals and picking out the different pieces. And so this was kind of a new world for
Sure.
her.
Yeah.
And the team that she had, very frankly, they were overcharging and under delivering. And I think that's was pretty obvious. And so we were able to come in and help her to get organized. Hey, this is how this piece works. This is how this piece works. And hey, what do you actually want to do? That's
Hmm.
where we spent most of the conversation. What do you
Hmm.
what do you want? If you can wave a magic wand, don't worry about the details for just for a moment. What do you want to happen? I want to travel. I want to do this. I want to do this. And we go, okay, we can do that.
Hmm.
This is how we're going to do it.
Hmm.
How much detail would you like in how we're going to do it? Talk through that, and you know, it's totally different world for her. She felt permission to renovate the house and
Hmm.
really make it her dream home.
Yeah.
And is looking at property in another state that she likes to visit. And we're planning vacations, and
It's really fun.
it's so fun. But the first step is to get organized and to figure out the pieces that you have, and how do we put those pieces together in order to accomplish your goals.
Hmm.
And we do it in a way that's fun, it's engaging, it's not it doesn't have to be as scary as it seems.
Yeah.
And we can focus on the details and the technical stuff, but it's more about how do we use what you have to pay for what you want.
Hmm.
And that's really what ends up happening. So that's our opinion on why most folks fall short, either going one way or the other, not really understanding, or they enjoy their retirement. But that's why they fall short on retiring on time or on their terms. And just some ideas about how you can get on track and feel comfortable to even potentially retire early. So get organized, understand how it works, and figure out what you can spend and how that's going to work. But we want to be really, really transparent. We always are. We can only give generalized ideas in this video, okay? So we're not giving any specific advice because everyone's definition of retirement and the way that they see it is different. Maybe you're more comfortable with, downsizing your living space in exchange for a little bit more walking around money. Maybe you want to sell the house and rent and travel, or have an RV and road trip across the US. Or maybe it's, just you don't want to have to worry about all this stuff and spend more time with your family while you can. Whatever it is, we have worked with folks all across the country to accomplish all of those types of goals. But general information can only get you so far when it comes to planning for everything and how it all comes together. And the only way to really make sure that you're not missing anything is by having a personalized plan that's tailored exactly to you and your goals. Not your neighbor's plan, not your cousin's plan or your brother-in-law's plan, but your plan. Otherwise, you might be missing out on, whether it's hidden tax opportunities, withdrawal strategies that really take into account all of the details for you, and really how to address, uncertain things that may come up. And so to help you get started on that, we created a free retirement planning questionnaire where all you have to do is input a little bit of info about your situation. Within a few days, we'll create a personalized video where we'll show you some of the things that we think, based on what you tell us, are areas of focus. And we can always continue the conversation more directly after that. But these are going to be ideas that help you to focus on what you might need to do in order to be more on track to retire. So in the video, we'll highlight a few of those areas of opportunity, provide some next steps to help you get on the right track and feel on the right track. So click the link in the description, and we'll see you in the next video.